This is probably the number one thing that I wish someone taught me and told me earlier when it comes to dating, right? Something that I've myself have ignored and made the mistake for so long until I came to that conclusion. And I feel like that one realization, that one very simple shift of perspective is what genuinely allowed me to build a healthier relationship, romantic relationship, and just healthier relationships in my life in general. And that really just all came in from that one very simple realization, right? People often ask me, like, what's your biggest advice, right, when it comes to dating? And for the most part, there is no such thing, right? Because it really depends on the specifics of, your situation. It really depends on your specific patterns, right? And this is why, I do coaching. This is why it's so important, right? People ask these questions like there is this automatic like responses, but there is no such thing. For the most part, it really depends on what you need to hear, right? Something that's going to be extremely important for one person to hear is going to be redundant to someone else. It's like, oh yeah, no, I've been doing that. I get that. They might have other things that they're struggling with. They might have other things, that they might not realize that are holding them back from building these relationships. But this, right, this number one advice I can tell you, because I see this comment, right? And this is probably is also going to, happen to be one of the least favorite comments, right? And that just say that very nicely. It's the least favorite comment that I probably receive on my channels, not because it's a bad comment per se, but because again, when I read it, I see myself and I'm like, I used to be just like that. I used to think just like that. And I did not even realize, right, how this comment, how this perspective, this very simple perspective is what literally used to hold me back so badly in not only dating, but also in my career, in my, fitness, in my, like all these different areas, like of my life, friendships, right? Like so just my social interactions. This number one thing that really just held me back for so long. And the number one thing that people say, and this is again, the comment that I get on my channel on a pretty regular basis on here on YouTube, on Instagram, or, TikTok, on all of these other platforms, the number one thing that people say, and again, that triggers me because I go, I used to be just like that, is when someone says, why play all these games? Why do we have to play all these games? Why not just be ourselves? That's what a relationship is all about, right? And before you just dismiss that and be like, yeah, games are bad, right? Some along the way has given like the word game, specifically when in connotation with dating and building relationships, like a bad name. Like apparently it's like this negative, terrible term, like playing games, right? And I don't want you to understand that like playing games, right? It's not about playing with people's emotions, right? But dating is a game, just like life is a game. Just like everything that we set out to do within our lives is a game to a certain extent, right? And when it comes to a game, what it means by that, it means that if you want to achieve something, you can definitely benefit from developing a certain strategy towards things, from learning from your errors and adjusting yourself, right? Realigning yourself in order to make sure that you create the necessary shortcuts, that you create the necessary paths that will genuinely lead you to that end result that you want. Because if you don't do that, right, you will probably give up before you reach the destination, because you'll find that you always get stuck, that you never get there, and it's frustrating time in and time out. So the best way to get to your destination is to learn how you need to adjust yourself, to realign yourself from each experience, right, in order to reach that destination. And there are certain rules of thumb, there are certain rules, there are certain laws, right, just like in any game that allow you to get there. Usually they're not the only rules. There are multiple ways to get to the same destination. There are different ways that you can get there, right? So let's say if we're talking about like your career, if we're talking about financial freedom, financial success, there is no just one way, but each way usually has a certain, method to it, a certain rules to the game. Right? There are multiple ways to get to financial freedom. So some people strategize and they say, you know what? My strategy would be to go to college and get a degree in this and this and that will allow me to then get this and this and this job that will allow me to then progressively, earn this title or that title and apply for my dream job. And then when I get there, I'm going to make more money, and I'm going to take that money and I'm going to potentially reinvest it in other areas, maybe real estate, maybe the stock market, maybe this, And again, we might adjust our strategy along the way, just like with any game. Sometimes we create one strategy and realize along the way that, hey, this is not working for me. This is not good. We realign, we readjust, but there's always a method. There's always an ongoing strategy. There's always that ongoing game. There is the rules to the game, and there are always going to be winners and losers. There are always going to be ways that, hey, I'm going to succeed in that game and someone else won't. Right? But the number one, the easiest way to know that for sure you will not succeed is if you're not even playing at all. If you're just hoping that that thing will happen to you without you even trying, or without you even putting any sort of thought, without you learning from your mistakes, without you readjusting, realigning, potentially listening and hearing other people who might teach you and tell you, hey, these are proven things that work and these are things that don't work, and align with that. Like they say that the, intelligent people, what is it? Smart people learn from their own mistakes, like even smarter people learn from other people's mistakes. I'm butchering the quote, but it's something along these lines, and it couldn't be more true, and that's true for any area, right? If you're an athlete, you would literally train with a coach that already probably been where you've been and trained people like you before and sees you from the side, knows where you at, where you need to be, and looks at the specific things that you could adjust in your game in order to achieve the goals that you want to achieve in the fastest amount of time possible. Life is short, right? You want to do the things that you want to do today. You want to achieve the things that you want to achieve as quickly as possible, right? And you want to enjoy the process. And the only way to enjoy the process is if every time you could put yourself out there, you feel like, hey, you're progressing, you're making, progress, you're getting better at something. If you're there and you have the same experience, time in and time out, time in and time out, just like someone who doesn't play games and dating and just is being themselves in a sense that they don't invest in themselves, they don't look at what works and what doesn't work, they don't, realign. If they continue making the exact same mistake, time in and time out, time in and time out, they get the exact same results. Right? Every time they put themselves out there, they're hoping for something different to happen. Yet, since they're doing the same thing, they're getting the same thing. Right? They're not playing any games, and that's why they're stuck. Right? So again, there are multiple ways to get to that same destination. Different coaches are going to recommend different things. There's different schools of thought. Some people say, college is not my path. I'm going to do this and this and that. I'm going to become an athlete. I'm going to, instead of going to school, I'm going to join the family business. And this is how I'm going to, create that. The same thing when it comes to fitness, right? Again, it's a game in the sense that there are different schools of thought, but you need to stay on track and play the game, the way you want to play it, the way you feel is going to be best aligned with you. But doing nothing new and just saying to yourself, I don't need any sort of strategy. It's like literally going to the gym and just doing random machines, doing random things day in and day out, not seeing the results, right? Not seeing the results, yet continuously just doing the exact same thing again. If you're going out there and you're meeting men and you just, I'm just going to create a dating app and I'm just going to meet a couple guys, and then you end up having the exact same negative experiences. So every guy that you meet seems to not want a relationship, seems to, want to, or just ghost you, or not want to have a conversation about certain things. If every guy, or you don't meet people at all, right? Because it's like, oh, men just don't approach anymore. So therefore, I'm not going to be able to meet anyone. And I haven't really been on a date in the past couple of years. If you just say to yourself, then I'm just going to continue doing that because I don't want to play games, because I see a video when someone says, hey, here are certain ways that you can increase your chances of reaching certain results that might be aligned with your results. And you saying, I'm not going to do that because I don't want to play games, then you are your biggest enemy. Just like I was my biggest enemy because I was thinking the exact same things. I was sitting there and I was like, well, I think that she likes me and I like her. Why won't we just be together? Maybe I should just go and tell her that we want to be together. And time in and time out, I didn't end up with that person at all. If anything, I ended up hurt every single time until I realized that, hey, maybe it's the approach. Maybe I need to adjust it, because when it comes to dating specifically, even more so than other areas of our lives, it is a game in a sense that it's like an intricate dance. There's the right and there's wrong moves. And that's a fact. That's not an opinion. That's not you don't subscribe to that, but someone else does. It's a fact. Right? Human beings, right? We're not so different than the animal kingdom in that sense when it comes to dating and mating, right? Even the birds have a little dance that the male does, and that calls the female to do this, and then the male does that, and that's how she knows that this is the right partner for her and not this one, and that's how she chooses who she decides to mate with. I know it seems all funny and interesting when we watch it on the Discovery Channel, but if we look at our dating lives as human beings, we're not so different. We are not so different, right? And that's that little dance that we do, the little thing that we do to, to attract the mate, to make them see what we want them to see, to want to invest in us or potentially get to know us. All of these things they go under the bracket of the word game. So in that sense, yes, absolutely, 1,000%. It has always been a game. It is a game today, and it will always be a game. Always be a game. There's a right and wrong way. There are specific ways and there are specific things that you can include or exclude from your dating app profile that's going to give you more matches. 100%. I see it all the time with my clients. We literally go through their profiles and then we look at the results. There are definite things that you could do in order to increase the amount of matches that you get or change the type of attention that you get. From these types of people and these types of messages, you will start receiving very different types of messages just based on how you built your profile. So yeah, in that sense, that's a game. There are definite ways and things and activities that you can engage with on a regular basis that will allow you to meet way more like-minded, amazing people, connect with them, go on dates with them, and just create more opportunities to actually meet a person that you can end up being with, and using that whole fact that dating is a numbers game. So there's definitely ways that you can increase these chances for you and just go through the process in a lot quicker and in a lot more enjoyable manner, not just sitting at home and just wishing for something to happen to you, right? There are definite ways that you can improve your physical appearance. You can change, certain things and how you dress and how you walk and how you talk and how all of that stuff that will demand a certain type of attention. It'll also demand a certain type of respect. It would also just attract certain types of people and potentially, push away the types of people that you don't want. There are specific things that you can do that will do that. There are specific boundaries that you need to create in order to, again, discourage a certain behavior that you don't want and encourage the type of behavior that you do want. And these are proven things. This is not, someone decides that this is just based, all of these things are based on very basic, right, human psychology, what we as human beings tend to look at and be attracted to versus things that we find, desperate versus things. So if you choose not to play, the shortest way to lose that game, everybody who has ever commented that, and I'm going to talk about like myself included, every time I was like, why play these games? It's because I wasn't happy. I wasn't in a place where I was getting what I want. Right? And maybe in some ways, you just automatically pick up certain things and it just becomes how you do things, right? Maybe the level of confidence or how certain things that you can, I already do that, so I'm just going to be myself. But there could be other things simultaneously that are holding you back. So just because you got one thing and you think, I'm doing that naturally, there might be other things that you're doing or not doing that's holding you back. So being humble enough to understand that, hey, there's ways, that I might not be familiar with that I could learn somehow and I could adapt into my strategy, into my life, into my game in order to get to my results a little bit faster. Whether when it comes to our dating and love lives, whether it comes to our, financial goals, right? Like how to get to our financial goals a little bit quicker, ways that we can also adapt and learn from when it comes to our fitness goals, right? Somebody could be going to the gym and doing the exact same things for 10 years and then decides that, maybe I do need a coach. And they decide to invest that time and that money into themselves. And all of a sudden they get the results that they have not gotten in 10 years. Now they're getting them in a matter of months. Again, it's about a strategy. It's about like the savoir-faire. It's about like the right and wrong way to do certain things. And that's definitely always, always, always going to be there. So stop saying that, I don't want you to have that negative connotation, playing games. People think that it's like you're playing games with another person. The truth is that you're just playing the game, right? You are aligning, adjusting yourself in a manner that will align with your goals a little bit faster. And there's not only there's no shame in doing that, there is people respect people who create certain, boundaries and certain rules for themselves and follow those things, right? And build up that sense of just discipline and self-control along the way. That's actually extremely attractive traits, right? People, both male and women, both males and females are both looking at these qualities and these character traits of discipline and self-control and the ability to just follow a certain path and stay on that path, right? Just making a promise to yourself that, hey, this is what I'm going to do. So I know that, and just following that path, right? And again, just playing along specific rules within that game, those are extremely admirable and attractive qualities to both men and women. We look at these things and we want to be with a person like that, because a person like that just, it creates trust. We trust people like that, right? We don't trust people that say one thing and then do another thing, and then they allow their emotions to control them rather than learning and knowing how to control their emotions, right? And again, that's applicable to both men and women. So yes, dating is a game in the same way that everything else that you do in your life, right? And any sort of goals that you set for yourself is to a certain extent a game. There are a set of rules. There are definitely things that you could do that will either help you get to that goal faster, or things that you are currently doing that are holding you back. So if you're going out there and every time you have the same experience, yes, it's probably, if not definitely, because you are doing something that's holding you back. But people choose to learn the wrong lesson. They go out there, they go on 10 dates, and every date is horrible, or every guy that you go on a date with ghosts you, and they go, it's because all men are ghosters, right? Or all men ghost. I don't know if ghosters is a word, but all men ghost, instead of learning the right lesson here, which is, hey, I'm the common denominator of all of these relationships. So if I met 10 women and all these 10 women just basically ghosted me after the first date, or didn't even want to give me a chance to go on a first date with them, right? Then I am the common denominator. So instead of learning the wrong lesson, be like, they're all wrong, they're all bad, maybe I'm doing something consciously or subconsciously that's holding me back, right? And sometimes, most of the time, right, it's not about having bad intentions, right? And that's why I think a lot of people go wrong with is thinking that, when it comes to like playing games, it comes with like a bad place. It comes with like a place of, I'm trying to like manipulate you or trick you into something. Not at all, right? I'm not trying to manipulate or trick anyone when it comes to me, succeeding in my career. But I'm going to do the right things and the wrong things that will help me get there faster. I have to put myself first. That's what self-love is really all about. That's what playing the game is all about, is putting yourself first and saying to yourself, I have a goal. I want to achieve that. I'm only going to live once, and I don't have, you know what I mean? Like, time is very limited. So I might as well use all the tools at my disposal, learn as much as I can from other people and from my own experience says along the way, in order to get to my destination, instead of just wasting more and more and more of my time creating more negativity, more frustration, and learning the wrong lessons, right? It's not because all of these women that you have met are bad women, or they don't want relationships and they're not serious, and blame modern dating for that, or whatever it is that you want to blame for that. It's because you are doing something that's potentially pushing them away. And looking into those patterns, and it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't mean none of that. You know what I mean? You could be doing these things subconsciously. You think that that's the right thing to say. You think that's the right question to ask. You think that's the right thing to do on the first date or not to do on the first date. Yet you might not realize that's what's holding you back. So learning the rules of the game, right, from like proven methods that are based, again, on basic human psychology is what playing the game is all about, and what's going to allow you to actually achieve what you want to achieve faster. And again, I'm saying all of these things, right, not from like a place where I'm like, I don't even know why people do that. I know exactly why people do that. I was the exact same way. I was like, I like her. I think that she likes me. I mean, she did say something last time, and she did express an interest into going on a date with me, and she did smile at me that other time. Why are we not together? Why did I call her right now and tell her that I want to do this, and she doesn't call me back? Why she's playing games? I don't want to play games. Why don't we just get married already? Why won't we just be in a relationship? I feel like she likes me. And it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way, because based on that human psychology, these certain signs that I'm doing now are changing how she feels about me, right? If a person comes down to you on the street, right? This whole thing about like, just be yourself, just do what feels right, right? Let's just like take that for example, for an example for a second here, right? Let's say that I just literally subscribed to that ideology and just did what felt natural to me in the moment, and just, was myself instead of trying to play games. If I saw a, attractive girl in the street and I was like, oh, she's cute and she's got a really nice, body, and that's true, right? We would be attracted to these kinds of features. If I just walked up to her and say, hey, you have a really nice butt, and she might have a really nice butt, and I said that to her, and I said, Can I take you out on a date, or let's go on a date, or let's be in a relationship? Because I would want to skip all that stage altogether because it's useless, right? If I did that, if I approached 10 girls with that strategy, how many dates do you think I would go on? Zero. How many relationships would I be in? Zero. How many times would I probably get arrested and somebody would call the police on me? Probably multiple times. Probably more often than not, right? So yes, I do need to play a game to a certain extent. I do need to, look at her a certain way, maybe give her a look and then like change to, you know what I mean? Like turn my head into something else, right? Maybe I would need to kind of like give her some sort of like a very subtle compliment somehow to get her attention, but not overdo it, right? Definitely not make my intentions too, known and too aggressive right off the bat, because that just will seem too aggressive and will seem too desperate, which will just, make her feel very icky and make her want to like run the other way, right? Make her feel very uncomfortable, right? So there is a right way and wrong way to do that, right? There's definitely an approach that I can take that will allow me to get to that result a lot quicker, a lot better, and without being arrested along the way, right? There's definitely a way that I can flirt with her, that I can talk to her, that I can potentially just like make the first move that will help me, get closer to her, instead of her just pushing me away, calling the police and running in the opposite direction. The same goes with having conversations about, getting into a relationship. The same goes during the first date, right? There are certain things that I really want to know, but if I start asking all these questions and just hammering them with them, with all of these like very intrusive questions with a person that I barely know at this point, that I just literally just gone on a first date with, right? They'll not have a good time. And their like impression of this first date will be like, oh, this person like literally interrogated me for like an hour. That just felt completely and very uncomfortable, right? And although what I'm coming from is a very genuine place, I genuinely just want to get to know you so we can potentially be in a relationship. So again, no, my intentions don't matter. And being myself based on like just doing what feels right to me in the moment is not the right thing. What feels to me right in that moment is I do want to sleep with you. But if I do that, I might potentially ruin the entire dating dynamic, right? And we won't see each other the same way. We will allow our hormones to take over and just focus on a very physical type of relationship. And if I want a serious long-term relationship, that might not align with that. So yes, I do need to play the game in a sense that I need to adjust my strategy. And although I want to do this, and that, and that's what feels natural to me, and that's what I would consider just being myself, then yes, I would absolutely need to not do that. And often enough, I would need to do the complete opposite of what feels right to me in the moment. And yes, in that sense, that's a game. I feel like I repeat myself so many times, and I wanted to give you all the examples. So if you're sitting there and you ever had these thoughts, I wanted to like cover as many examples and as many situations as I possibly can to make you understand. Because again, I just wish somebody made this video, or I just wish maybe somebody did. I wish I would have watched that video a lot sooner, like when I was maybe in my teenage years. I wish that I would see this video and I would really just digest it, understand it. I wish somebody would like hammer it into my head and be like, hey, you're a great dude. You have good intentions. You're a good person, right? But you will continue running into these situations where you get hurt, where you get left, where you get ghosted, where you just get taken for granted, where you know what I mean? When somebody is not reciprocating the same level of effort and interest that you're putting until you do this differently. And it should all come from the simple realization, from the simple perspective shift that yes, it is a game. Because I, like so many of you, I bet, that are watching this, I was trying to convince myself that that's the most horrible thing that people can do. Why play these games? Oh, she's so fake. Oh, she's so, manipulative. Oh, she's so horrible. I used to tell that to myself because it was easier for my ego to accept the fact that she was just a horrible person rather than I did not know what the hell I was doing, right? It was way easier for my ego to accept that than to accept that I just needed to adjust my stuff. I just needed to realign. I just needed to learn something because I wasn't smart enough to adjust, right? Because I was just the one, like I know many of you, I just trying to convince myself that if my intentions are good and if I'm a good person and if I want something genuine, then it should just happen. Then they should just see that in me and just give me what I want and what I deserve. People won't give you what you want until you learn how to get it, until you learn how to adjust yourself. And I'm saying that in the best possible way possible. Best possible way possible. I'm saying that in the best with the best intentions, with genuine, true, good intentions. You still need to adjust yourself, and you still need to realign yourself. Just because you consider yourself a good person, just like I did, with good intentions, and I wanted a genuinely just good relationship. I didn't want to take advantage of people. I didn't want to manipulate people, and I still needed to create a strategy. I still needed to play the game in order to finally start building the type of relationships that I truly want. Right? So hopefully this video was helpful. If you have any questions about that, I'd definitely be happy to look at some of your comments. I'd be happy to know that maybe change the perspective of at least one person who's watching this right now. Because again, I genuinely wish that someone would have told me that when I was growing up, when I was a little bit younger, and when I was consistently getting my heart broken by a whole bunch of people, whether in romantic situations and sometimes not even so romantic, in friendships as well. You know what I mean? And that literally just took me a very simple mindset shift that led me, yes, to learning certain things after that, right? But in the beginning, it just started with like me just shifting my perspective, be like, hey, I could be a good person. I could have genuine intentions. I could just want good things and wish people the best, but I still need to adjust what I'm doing. Just doing what feels right to me in the moment, just being myself is not enough. I need to learn how to play the game. I'll see you guys in my next video. Peace.